Hi, I'm Zachary Shade, and this is week 2 of hashtag 365 movies in 365 days, where each day of the year I watch a movie. And so these are the movies that I watched during week 2, the 7 movies. What was the first movie?
The first movie was The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yes, thank you very much, Director Man. So, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, I watched on Netflix because it was recommended to me. My hands are going crazy right now. I have consumed a decent amount of apple juice.
Healthy.
But yeah, so The Autopsy of Jane Doe was a movie that I thought was going to be like a kind of crime drama sort of movie, like CSI sort of thing. But no, it mostly was just the literal autopsy. It took place in the morgue the entire time, and it was like kind of brutal and violent. I mean, they were like doing stuff to a corpse, but so then like some supernatural stuff starts happening. And I gotta say, for the first like almost hour of this movie, I was really enthralled. There was this one scene that was just like, because I'm an animal person, that like, it was just tough to watch, and just a lot of the autopsy stuff was.
What was the animal?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Oh, that's a spoiler?
I
Okay,
guess,
fine,
sorta.
Fine. Alright, go on.
But
Back to your movie review.
yeah, so it was very interesting. There was like a lot of tension, and then the end of the movie happened. I feel like whenever they were making this movie, they were like, okay, Fred, you go ahead and you make your artsy, scary movie, but once you're done, we're gonna do our horror movie stuff. And it was just like the most generic bullshit. Like, there was 2 jump scares where, and you'll appreciate this, it was like bang, 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 bang on a door. And so it's like he looks through the keyhole and nothing's there. And then nothing's there. And then nothing's there. And if you want to do at least a subversive jump scare, you like turn around and then, oh, it's right there instead. But instead, it just focused on the keyhole. And then it was like, ah, scary monster. And it's like, yeah, that was the most fucking expected jump scare in that you could possibly do. It made Paranormal Activity look great. It was so shitty, the end of the movie. And it wasted like this cool premise where like maybe it was like she was a human sacrifice or something, who knows. I gave the first like hour of the movie a 9 out of 10, and just the last half hour was just so fucking shitty. And I give it like a 2.5, 3 out of 10. So my conglomerate score for it is a 6.5 out of 10, just because the first hour was really fun and unique. But ultimately, I can't recommend it because the ending sucked whatever genitalia you don't want in your mouth.
Alright, next we watched, or you watched, the fucking Apostle.
Yes, Apostle was a movie that, when the credits rolled, was by Gareth Evans, who did The Raid and The Raid 2, which I have a lot of praise for. Apostle was this movie where these people were seeking asylum, and so they went and they formed their own island, like religious persecution or whatever, but then they formed a cult on the island, and then there was some weird monster stuff that happened with it. It's sort of a hard movie to rate because from like just a cinematography and atmosphere, I give the movie a 7.5 out of 10. I did thoroughly enjoy it, not nearly as much as The Raid, because that was just like punch, kick, boom, boom, brr, like you knew what you were getting into. This movie was not more subtle, but it was very laid back in pace compared to those. And so the plot like sort of didn't go anywhere, and then there was some weird stuff that was never explained, and then the ending was ambiguous, but I feel like it was like the cycle continues. It was a circle of life kind of thing, like the Lion King. You know, you ever seen the Lion King? That's a good movie.
I hated Simba. He was a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, Simba, motherfucker.
Simba was an asshole. Go
yeah.
Timons and Pumbas.
Yeah. So the Apostle, yeah, again, if you're into artsy fartsy movies and you're just into cinematography and atmosphere, I recommend it. If you want plot, it's lacking in that. But it has like, there's a man who's living on an island, and he's trying to like figure out what's going on, and there's a cult, and they kidnapped his sister, so she's there, so he's there for a reason, and then there's weird stuff. It's weird, but I enjoyed it personally. Don't know if you will. Mr. Director Man, what else did I watch?
We got yeah, all right. The next movie we did was the Infiltrator.
Yes, The Infiltrator. This was a movie that I enjoyed. I give it a 7 out of 10. I think that it was worth watching. But so basically it has Bryan Cranston, and he's being Bryan Cranston from the earlier seasons of Breaking Bad, where he's just like, like, this is terrible, like anytime anybody dies. So basically he's a U.S. Customs agent who infiltrates Pablo Escobar's cartel and tries to bring them down. And it's based on a true story, and it's a good story, and it's a good movie, but you just have like that Bryan Cranston, like him just being Bryan Cranston, which is distracting, and it lacks anything sort of special that gives it like some sort of oomph. So it's just like, hey, this is a story, and it happened. And so at the end of it, you're like, cool, yeah, that was a good story. But it didn't have anything that made it unique. And it, like, tries to shoehorn in this, like, emotional thing at the end of the movie where you're really supposed to, like, care about what happens to the characters. But it spent so much time focusing on the actual story rather than the characters that it's like, I don't really care that much. So it was good, but it was just like that stuff missed the mark. Yeah, as I said, 7 out of 10, The Infiltrator. I recommend it if you're bored. And it was a good movie, and especially if you like true crime stories, then absolutely I recommend it. I watch a lot of Investigation Discovery, where people like light girls on fire and rape their faces off and stuff. Oh wait, that was a different movie. That was
Biodome.
fiction. Yes, with James Woods.
It was Biodome. All right. You also, oh, okay. You seem to like this movie, the Humanity Bureau. This film you seem to enjoy.
Yeah, so the Humanity Bureau stars Nicolas Cage.
Good actor.
He's being over the top Nicolas Cage, like, bleh. It reminds me, I guess, of not quite as absurd as The Wicker Man, but sort of in that vein where, like, it's set in a post-Trump universe. They absolutely were, like, making a dig at Trump. Like, there was a character at one point that was like, I haven't something like this since the presidential dinner. And he picks up a picture, and it's, like, him sitting next to Donald Trump. So it's like, oh, that's why we're in this apocalyptic world, because Donald Trump was president. But it was so rushed to be a dig at Donald Trump. And also it stars Nicolas Cage being like, the entire time, that it's just bizarre. But basically, he's part of this bureau where they go around and they interview people and decide whether or not that they should be deported. And they're like going around to the wasteland areas that are outside the city. Nice face, by the way, as I describe this.
You said the plot, and that was enough.
It's fucking hilarious. 3 out of 10 for me. It's terrible. If you like terrible movies, though, I feel that this is pretty high on like things you should watch. It's not like Troll 2 or Glass levels of terrible. Oh shit, I shouldn't say that yet because I'm not reviewing that till next week. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. But yeah, the Humanity Bureau. What the fuck kind of name is that? I mean, really?
Wasn't there a Matt Damon movie with something Bureau?
The Adjustment Bureau.
Didn't that suck too?
It was okay. It was a Philip K. Dick adaptation, and they made it. Yeah, they made it to like romanticized though from the original short story, which
Philip K. Dick has sex with aliens, so what would he know about?
Yeah, I'm a huge Philip K. Dick fan. I love the Dick.
You get a healthy mouth.
But yeah, the Humanity Bureau. It was something. I was laughing like right from the first scene. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Just watch the trailer. If you laugh during the trailer and you're not like, this looks god awful, then watch it. If you're like, this looks god awful, then it is, and you probably won't enjoy it.
So go see the Adjustment Bureau. The next movie.
Humanity.
The Humanity?
Yeah, Adjustment Bureau was the Matt Damon one.
Oh, okay, so see that movie. You also saw John Snowden.
That's Edward Snowden.
John
Snow. That's what are you combining Game of Thrones with Edward Snowden? So
yes,
Oliver Stone and me don't get along super well. So I watched Snowden, which is the story of Edward Snowden, the whistleblower who exposed that the NSA was collecting everyone's data from everything, just not foreign threats, U.S. citizens. And I feel that like if you're not well versed in politics and you don't follow what's going on, then it's probably an important film that you should probably watch, because literally our government is spying on all of us. And they even point out during the film that the Obama administration was like, hey, that's fucked up, maybe we should end that. And then they actually proceeded to further the program to spy on American citizens, and it's still going on today. As far as a film in itself, though, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of my favorite actors. He does a great job as Edward Snowden. It's like a lot of these movies are they need to be like thrillers and whatnot, and they're not doing that. In this movie, it's just like a bland movie where it's like this guy at a desk did this thing. But I think that I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was an interesting movie. Oliver Stone has got this documentary drama, like drama-mentory, if you want to call it that, sort of thing. I recommend it for anyone, whether you're familiar with the subject matter or not. I think that it's worth watching. And you should stop.
What was the other movie? You also saw The Big Sick.
Yeah, I actually knew that. You didn't need to fucking film the ground and read it out to me.
Whatever.
Anyway, the sixth movie I watched this week was The Big Sick. And unlike this guy's fucking morning after Christmas days, it wasn't just a bunch of puke. I actually thought that it was great. I give The Big Sick an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah.
What was the movie?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
It was one of your least favorite people, a brown guy named Kumail Nanjiani. I shouldn't do that.
No, I love brown people. They sell me my cigarettes at illegal prices without including taxes.
Okay, well, I guess we're just going all in on that. Kumail Nanjiani plays himself, and it was written by Kumail Nanjiani and Emily V. Gordon, his real-life wife. Real-life wife sounds like a fucking sex doll, doesn't it?
It does a little.
Oh, tangents. This is what alcohol does. But yeah, it's the story about how they got together, and it's a romance movie technically, but it's not sappy at all, and that's the kind of thing I love. Like 500 Days of Summer is also one of my favorite romance movies. The Lake House, which was pretty sappy and dumb with Keanu Reeves and Bird Box Lady.
Sandra Bird Box, get it right.
But yeah, so he's Pakistani, and she's Whiteistani, And so they meet at a comedy club after he does a stand-up set. And they hook up and they're like, oh, this is just a one-night stand. We shouldn't do this. But then they end up hanging out. And then she has to go into a medically induced coma. And it's like her father, played by Ray Romano, and her mother come, which I can't remember the actress's name, but I like her a lot. I'm sexist, so I just don't remember women's actresses' names. They come into the movie, and the other supporting actors are Bo Burnham and Kurt Braunholer, which they are the comedy club guys that Kumail hangs out with. And it's just, it feels real because, well, it's based on a real story, but it was also written by the people who went through it. And Judd Apatow directed, and, you know, he's hit or miss. But with those like long kind of movies like Knocked Up and wasn't he Trainwreck as well?
He might have been Trainwreck, but he did Funny People.
Yeah, which that's But I really liked this, and it like Kumail being Pakistani, his family, they do arranged marriages, so like he has this box full of pictures of women that his family wants him to marry with the arranged marriage thing, so it has this like culture clash thing as well, but it's not like preachy and in your face. It's just like, this is a thing that happened, which I really love when movies do that. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but it's just like, this is a thing. I'm not trying to make a big deal about it, but it happens. And I really like that. And it's just, ultimately, it's cute and it's funny and it's super sad and it's charming, and you just go through this roller coaster of emotions, and I thoroughly thought it was great. You know, 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's like a masterpiece, but I recommend it for anyone besides someone who recently went through a breakup, maybe, unless they're like, well, this could happen to me. But yeah,
What about fans of the Fast and Furious films? Will they like it?
I mean, are they really people? They're mostly Chinese, I think, right? That's where the box office is. I'm not saying Chinese people aren't people. That came out really horribly. Next movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. Hold on. Okay, and we also saw.
Yeah, what was the seventh movie that I watched of this week? What was it?
Saw Gone Baby Gone. I know that movie.
Yeah, that's the movie that I watched.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit.
Okay, well, I'm the reviewer here.
No.
So.
All right. Well, go talk about the movie then.
Well, I mean, since you're what did you think about it?
I don't know. I mean, my friend gave it to me on like a video and shit that I downloaded on my computer, and it was just all Casey Affleck masturbating in a bed with some other girl, and I was like, this is not entertainment at all. 2 out of 10.
Did you actually watch that movie?
I did. I did. It was pretty lousy.
Okay, so the final movie of this week that I watched was Gone Baby Gone, starring Casey Affleck, directed by Ben Affleck, and I didn't watch it when it came out in 2007 because of that. I keep pointing at the camera. It's just a thing I do now.
Take what you got.
Yeah, it's a Dennis Lehane novel, which you can't really go wrong with. He writes some good stuff. He wrote Mystic River and Fahrenheit 9/11, and so he did actually write Mystic River. But yeah, it's a girl. She disappears, and the mother's sister hires Casey Affleck and his girlfriend, fiance, I'm not really quite clear on that, to help find them as private investigators. And then the police are involved, and it's set in Boston, and oh, that's why you like it, because it's set in your hometown, but it makes your hometown look like shit. Is that the problem?
No, I'm from Montana.
You do not sound like you're from Montana.
I'm from Newark, Montana.
Okay, well, that's not a city.
That is.
Gone Baby Gone?
I just made it up, so it's now one. What was your review? I'm sorry.
Are you done?
Yes.
All right. So, Gone Baby Gone. I give a 7.5 out of 10. It's a pretty dark movie. There's, murder. But I do love the dialogue that gives the title to the movie. That was particularly corny, but awesome in its execution. I really enjoy that. And Ben Affleck, actually, despite not showing his penis in the movie, good director. What did you think about it? You already said what you thought about it, didn't you?
Yeah. Girl didn't do enough.
Yeah. All right, well, next week,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch 7 more movies.
He is.
I'm going to be here. I'm going to tell you about them.
Tell him what?
I'm going to tell him to get on my level. Yeah, you thought I was going to say dick, didn't you? Because after you put that camera down, you're getting on my dick.